going on? Welcome to the Good Rookie Show. I'm your host, Nelly J, with my co-host, Mr. Randy Holcomb's in the building. What's going on, guys? We're so excited to speak with you guys in another week. And we're in March. March Madness is upon us, and I'm sure we're going to have many episodes to talk about it. And of course, the Run Daily, y'all, happens on X Spaces every day, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. noon Eastern time, where we can hash it out on a daily basis. However, today's topics are pretty hot. And Ren, we'll pass the mic. You got it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. The New York Post reported that a group of investors are looking to create a new basketball league that will span Asia to Europe to one day rival the NBA, bringing Saudi Arabia's Sovereign Wealth Fund and Swiss bank UBS on board as strategic partners. So strategic partnerships means that they have a lot of money.
Yep.
Give me your thoughts on that.
I'm loving it because for those who follow golf, right? Remember when the whole PGA versus the new league in Saudi Arabia was a whole bunch of drama, right? Because they felt golf should be played in a very white way in America, right? So having a rival league, at first they were combating it. The PGA commissioner bashed them, thought it wasn't going to happen. Well, guess what? They took a lot of top golfers into their league, and they started making a lot of money. So then the PGA united with them, and now they're partners. So when it comes to, like you said, a lot of money, I laugh because if these guys can gather $5 billion, right? We went over NBA valuations last episode. We spoke about the top valued franchises. So a lot of them are at the, billions of dollars. So I'm just curious if they can get a $5 billion investment, right? Over there. And what if they can take think about it, a top star to that league? It's all they need, one, maybe two stars. Maybe some of them that are maybe getting older. And we saw it in soccer, right? If they give you a lot of money to play there, why wouldn't you? So I think this is going to be quite interesting. We've seen it happen in soccer, in golf, basketball. It's possible. What's your thoughts on that?
The overall idea, I think, is one that's always been intriguing. I don't think people know this, but like 25 years ago, the NBA was trying to figure out a way to partner with the Euro League to be able to create something like basketball without borders. But for those people that don't know, each country generally is represented by one team that is their best team in what is considered the Euro League. That Euro League is typically what is closer to NBA basketball, right? So you're going to have the best teams from each conference competing in this one particular league. Logistically, Nelly, it was a nightmare how are you going to get a team from Minnesota to come play in, say Spain, right? If they were to merge the league. This was real talk last like 20, 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, do I like the idea? Probably not, because I think that there is I think that there's a little bit too much commercializing of basketball as a whole. I think some of what Europe does is good for basketball for what it is they do. But if we're going to have something that rivaled that league, I think they should use the Euro League as a rival, which is one of the reasons that I brought it up. Pour the money into that. $5 billion can go into teams that are already established, that already have a backing. Fans are crazy. The Cheskas, the Real Madrids, the Barcelonas, the Efes. Who am I leaving out? I mean, there's a few of these teams that already have backing.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, most of these big teams over there are attached to soccer clubs. What is football, but American soccer, they're already attached to those teams. So if it were me, take the $5 billion and put it into the facilities for basketball, because that is what's really suffering. Most of these teams don't own their arenas. Those arenas are owned by the government or by the citizens of said town, right? So, or city. So take the $5 billion, apply it to facilities. Practice facilities over there are awful for the most part. Food and nutrition over there is different, but, I guess that can be addressed. Doctors, training staff is a joke over there for the most part. Take that $5 billion, use that to fund the EuroLeague teams. And I think that that's where the real rivalry comes in. The Saudis, they have a lot of money. Switzerland, definitely they control a lot of money because of the banks. But I think that ultimately the thing that we should be trying to push is the thing that they already have, and that is the Euro League, and trying to figure out how to get that to rival the
Well,
NBA.
that's the thing, though. These guys don't have any ownership to the EuroLeague. So unless the EuroLeague owners are willing to join this new league, right? Because it kind of seems like it'll be reliant on those clubs. Are they willing to join a new basketball league, right, that has that $5 billion investment? Because it seems like what they're trying to do is maybe, to your point, combine that EuroLeague with a league in Asia. And I know that the few leagues in like, you know, in Asia, spanning North Africa, I think it's a great idea. Run those fun EuroLeague, because that's already, I mean, I've seen videos of games in Serbia that look so lit, outdoor basketball games, right? So the atmosphere is amazing. They already have a good product. So it's kind of like in soccer, there's established clubs, established you know, facilities, and, you know, like order, right? So I'm assuming, to your point, they're probably going to approach and say, hey, we got money here. Do you want to join us? We're going to give a little bit of the pie so that we can invest in your team. But as you know, with these investors, Rand, if they put money in your team, they want something in return, right? So are these owners in the EuroLeague willing to say, hey, we'll give up 10% of our stake, be part of your league, and blah, 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 right? I mean, I think it's rather interesting. I know soccer, they try. I know boxing does well there now. We see lots of boxing UFCs happening in Dubai now. So I'm really curious to see if basketball can work. But to your point, NBA team traveling back and forth, probably not. But if they can get a league that does well and has the backing of it, do you think they have enough fans out there, Ren, to rival? Because I think the NBA, what they're so good at is that their fan base is massive, right? Now they've NBA China, right? So do you think there's a strong fan base in Asia and Europe to generate or get an ROI from that $5 billion investment that they have?
No, I don't. I think that from a geographical perspective, you got to think about it. China's big on basketball. The Philippines, the Filipino community is huge on basketball.
Yes,
shout out to the Nebra fans, and Alaska Aces fans, and Top of Tex fans. Shout out to all of them. But reality is that basketball most basketball leagues fail because they can't stay funded. $5 billion is a drop in the bucket when you're trying to start a new league. This is why I think starting a new league is probably not a thing that's necessary. What you should do is take that $5 billion and apply it to some of these teams in the Euro League, as opposed to trying to start a new league. I don't know if that necessarily makes a whole lot of sense, because we have enough leagues. Then two, if I'm being honest, there isn't enough good players out there, right? So again, like $5 billion is not enough to pull a guy away from Real Madrid, or Madrid is an amazing town, or say a Barcelona or Badalona, one of these, shout out to Juventud and all the rest of those people over there. But the bottom line is that there aren't enough players. It's sort of like starting an AAU team or trying to do like an AAU league. There's just not enough players. So how do you get those players? $5 billion isn't enough to do it. And I know that's seed money, but it takes a couple $1 billion to build a facility today, right? It takes.
Hold up, in America or in like Europe or like Asia?
It doesn't really matter where. If you're trying to rival something that is going to rival the NBA, well, if you try to do that, I mean, I don't know
I'm curious about that. Do you think they can build like outdoor basketball courts? Because you played in like Venezuela. Do you think it's possible to like utilize some of those arenas and build courts outside? Is that something that, you know?
It's possible, but that doesn't necessarily then we're not rivaling the NBA.
I mean, we all know, to rival the NBA will take you like a couple decades, right? But you gotta start from somewhere. I mean, the NBA product line started from what, 50s, like 40s, like.
But some of these other basketball leagues have done the same thing. You know what I mean?
They've
like
tried,
yeah. So again, like the EuroLeague basketball is I think enough of a place to start and trying to figure that out. You know what I mean? Like take that $5 billion, partner with them, or buy some of those teams. I'm sure that some of those owners will be willing to sell, because most of them can't afford to pay their players anyway. I think that instead of rivaling the NBA, come up with a different concept of basketball, 3-on-3, 1-on-1s, doing stuff like that. The things that work, Nelly, and Saudi being in this, one of the things that works for the GCC countries, Saudi, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Bahrain, are individual sports. because it's easier to attach to a brand, to an individual. You see what I'm
Like
saying?
boxing
So
does well there. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
boxing, tennis, golf, a lot easier to attach a brand to an individual. But when you
Yes.
have a team, right, and you got a bunch of different personalities, and you're trying to build a brand based on a team, you got to do a lot of winning. And they don't, you know what I'm saying? Like their money is going to run out before the bottom of the barrel team gets an opportunity to win. Nobody's going to show up, you know what I mean, to some of that stuff. But again, Asia has a market and a big enough fan base. I don't know that it can carry a team that will, or a league that will rival
Yeah.
the NBA.
Well, the key, it sounds like they're going to have to try to poach some NBA stars over there, like a Kyrie, who was someone I think someone like a Kyrie Irving would be open to playing in a league like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe he gets ownership stake, right? Something where they get ownership stake in the team. I know NBA now has that. I think they can own up to 10% is the max. So an NBA player today can have ownership stake in the team as a current play, which I think was a great add to the CBA. I think it's a really cool concept. I mean, leagues have tried, to your point. Let's see if these guys can figure it out. Then yeah, what do you think? Do you think a league can ever rival the NBA? Speaking of rivalry, we're going to talk about some report cards, right? And some report cards that came out in the NFL. This was quite interesting. So the NFLPA has released its 2025 team report cards. That's based on 1,700 NFL players. Now, Ren, how did your favorite team do in the report cards? Well, let's talk about it. There were two teams in the Super Bowl this year. We had the Chiefs, who lost tragically to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, out of 30 teams, I think you have the report card in front of you. Give me your thoughts on the report card and how your team did.
Well, it's funny because I was raised a Dallas Cowboys fan, and then because of some things that happened with Jerry Jones, I thought were in bad taste. I stopped being a fan of the team. On this list, they were 10th, and I wasn't overly surprised.
No, right? Oh, you mean Dallas? Okay, sorry, they're 10th.
Dallas is 10th,
okay.
Right? You know what I mean? I want to make sure I pay homage to the star, right? The star is important. But
okay, you got it.
but the Kansas City Chiefs, who are my team, that's the team that I follow, love watching, love everything about them. I was shocked that they were 26th.
Hello.
On this list, and food based on this, they got a B plus they got an A plus in coaching, a C minus in ownership, a B in food, a B in travel, a C plus in the weight room, and a B minus in the treatment of families. Now, when I looked at those, the only thing that kind of caught me real, off guard was the C minus with the ownership group. I've always heard positive things about the ownership. But in looking at some of the other teams, Miami being at the top of this list, I'm not exactly shocked by that. Maybe I would be, because from the ownership perspective, their owner has been involved in, I think he's a real estate baron. Well, at least one of the things he does is commercial real estate. He's owned some very rough properties in Chicago. I don't know if he still does, but there's some very rough properties and some rough areas that he owned that they were just kind of, putting tape on and allowing them to run down. He was almost slumlording some of those properties, or one property in particular, at least as I understand. So with that being said, for him to be an A plus owner, for Miami to get A pluses all the way around the board was a little jarring. Philadelphia, who won the championship, gets an A minus in the coaching area, a B in ownership, A minus in food, in travel.
Crazy.
Dude, yeah, that's just wild.
I think there's a couple F's on this, but I was like, whew.
Yeah, that F in travel. I mean, it's pretty hard to. You got to think about, because these areas are all really, really important to the team, to the team's overall morale. But with that being said, they had a B in the weight room and a C minus for the treatment of families. So for those two teams to make it as far as they did, the one commonality that they had was that they both had at least an A in coaching. And I guess the rest of it is just having talent on and being able to draft. For this to be by the players, it's pretty telling. You know what I mean? Minnesota's at the top at 2, Atlanta's 3. Minnesota and Miami both have all A's. Atlanta has 1 B in travel. Las Vegas has all A's with the exception of a B plus in the treatment of families. Like, it's really, really cool to see. Some of these owners are making sure that they pour into their organizations, but Miami ain't winning nothing anytime soon, and neither is Atlanta winning anything anytime soon. But they're extremely well. Let me not say that because Atlanta's really talented. Let me back off of that.
Atlanta's actually an up and up, I think.
Yeah,
Like they have
Atlanta's really talented. You know what I mean? So let me not do
makings,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, but when you look at this, Miami has a ton of talent. Minnesota has a ton of talent. Atlanta has a ton of talent. 1, 2, and 3. I wouldn't bet on any of those teams winning the championship. That's not to say that they could not, but I just wouldn't bet on it. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I mean, great analysis and, and feedback on this report cards. I mean, I think it's just hilarious that the Chiefs have a C- in owner and a C+ in the weight room. But yeah, that shocked me. I thought they'd be at least top 15. You know what I'm saying? Because the players seem happy, but again, it just tells you that these guys are athletes and they want to play football, but these conditions do matter, right? These, like we talked about it, Rand, they're getting over $2 billion in endorsement revenue. So
Right.
some of that money can go towards, picking it up. Now, Atlanta apparently was at the bottom of the barrel a year ago, and they upgraded and they did a lot of upgrades recently. So both the teams that are in the top 5 all did upgrades to facilities in the recent years and have made a good effort. One team I want to talk about, of course, is Washington, right? They have a new ownership group and they're, right, Magic's, been there, the Commander, they're doing well. So it's kind of cool seeing that they're also top 15. Baltimore being top 15 team, I was shocked. I don't know why. I thought maybe they weren't be as high, but clearly they do pretty well. But family treatment, I do think how you treat one's family, especially in a very high stressful environment like playing football every Sunday, that does kind of matter. And a lot of these teams, if you're looking at it, Rand, only like 5 teams got an A for treatment of family. The rest got C, D's, B's, like Miami, Minnesota, Atlanta, Dallas, and Seattle all got A's for family treatment. Everyone else to me failed. Like, how is one family not treated with the utmost respect or quality? You know what I'm saying? So the fact that only 5 out of 30 teams got A on this, I think is pretty absurd. My team, Denver Broncos, on here, they're actually 17th. Not too bad. A, B's, but they got C- for family treatment. Overall, I do think Denver had a pretty good grade. They're top 20, but I hope these teams look and say, wow, we have to do a better job in making families feel better, a better job when it comes to travel. Like, we still have 3 teams with F. How are you failing on traveling? Like, how's that even possible? You're
with 300 pound, with 310 pound players running around, right?
How are you failing?
Yeah.
Like, I think one thing I read was that one team, for some reason, was downgraded to coach. What? Imagine, like you mentioned, these guys aren't small. Flying coach? Like, how is that even possible? Like, Rand, you're a big enough dude. Imagine you traveling coach for every week for games. That's rough.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and phony kick it with you. I will fly a coach on empty planes. Just get across, you know what I mean, go to the back of the plane, find 3 seats and lay across, right? You know what I'm saying? I will do that. But at the same time, there's no way, I'm 6'8", 250 pounds, 260 pounds, somewhere in that range. There's no way that I'm going to stick myself in a situation that, where I'm crammed in or trying to cram into a seat. And we're talking about some guys that are much wider than I. One of the people looking at this list, right, of family treatment, looking at who got D's, there's 3 D's that I can see and one.
There's 2 F's.
And 2 F's in this treatment of Jacksonville and Cincinnati. Yeah. Cincinnati got an F-.
That's terrible.
That means that somebody is really, really upset over there.
That means multiple players are saying families got treated poorly when they either flew in there or were playing there, right? F-?
Right. I mean, and a lot of that I think has to do with facilities, you know what I mean, in terms of like being able to get into the facility, how quickly, are you ushered around the right way? Are you able to move freely when you're at the bottom of the building and all of that? You've been in those spaces. There's so much going on. There's so much political stuff that's happening in the bottom of those buildings, taking care of families and hierarchy, who gets to do what players, the best player's wife has to be treated this way, while the 13th player's wife has to be treated, or husband has to be treated another way, man. So it's very interesting to see. I was caught off guard. Somebody was really, really upset for Cincinnati to get and F. They got an F in two areas. They got an F in the food, and they got an F minus in the way they treat their families. How crazy is that?
But can we talk about the other F minus? Buffalo got an F minus in travel. How's that even possible? Buffalo,
Well,
like
I
I'm
mean,
shocked.
shoot, it's probably so hard to get in and out of Buffalo. You traveling in
Gosh.
30 feet of snow. They got all kind of blizzards and everything else, man. It's probably Buffalo's probably a nightmare to try to get in and out of just from that perspective, man. And plus, man, that's a hard-nosed town. Cincinnati is also a hard-nosed town too. That's a very hard-nosed place. You know what I'm saying? Going all the way back up to the top, though, Miami, what could you possibly have to worry about it? Everybody's happy in Miami. It's Miami. You know what I mean? Moving on though. There's one more F that is trying to turn themselves into an A, and that's the New Orleans Privateers basketball team, right in the city of New Orleans. They hired Master P. They named Master P the president of basketball operations at the university. The university released a full statement regarding the addition of Percy Miller on Wednesday, February 26th. Uno. I'm assuming that that's short for New Orleans. There's probably some cool stuff that they came up with down there. They gotta win some. You gotta win some games before you get a nickname. Uno. Anyway, Uno explained that the move was made with the future of New Orleans Privateers basketball in mind, and that the iconic rapper will bring another level of expertise to the collegiate program. In a statement by the coach, Stacey Houghton, this is a tremendously exciting day for the future of New Orleans Privateers basketball. I'm thrilled to add Coach Percy Miller to our staff as president of basketball operations. Coach Miller cares deeply about the city, the University of New Orleans, and privateer basketball. But we will benefit from his basketball knowledge and his relationships. That's what you benefit from with people within the city and the game. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, let's big up Master P, Percy Robert Miller, for the culture. Okay, big up to you, Master P, a leader in many spaces. I feel like every year and the Good Rookie Show, we always highlight Master P for doing something for the culture. And I'm always so honored to talk about the moves that he makes, whether that's in real estate, in retail, right? You name it. The No Limit Records forever. Like, he's been doing so much in the music game for many years. Us growing up in the 90s, we saw him. He even played basketball, right? As you know, he was a hooper himself, played for University of Houston, went to Merritt College. So he's been around for so long, but the fact that now he's actually going to be coaching and president of operations for basketball, I think is such an inspiration to a lot of people. Most people think they got to stick to what they know or stick to what we know them of, right?
Right.
One or two things. Master P, Percy Robert Miller is an example of you can start one way, but you're not limited. There's no limit, pun intended, to anything. And the fact that he's saying, I want to take on this new challenge in my life, right? In my career, like, he don't need no money. He's doing this because of the passion of his. He's always been into basketball, like you, right? Loves basketball, follows the game, played it. His kids played, right? So the fact that he wants to not only coach in his hometown, where he grew up in New Orleans, he wants to start a new culture, a new movement for the school. I think it's incredible. So when I saw this news, I was like, oh my gosh, we gotta big up Master P again this year, because, you know, Black History Month just finished, but, like, you know, with Rickies, we celebrate Black History every month. So big up to Master P for the culture on this. What's your thoughts? Because, you know, you play basketball, you've had an AAU team. What challenges do you expect for him to face, and what do you think he can bring to this new program in New Orleans?
Well, the New Orleans Privateers are 2-17 on the season.
Yes, that I do feel about. Yes.
They are, they're 2-17 in conference play, 4-26 on the season. Excuse me.
Yes.
They're on a 12-game losing streak. I think you just mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
There's nowhere to go but up, Nelly. I don't know where you go.
That's positive.
There's only one place to go. You can't get any further down than that, right? How much is he going to help? It's going to be interesting to see. I was fortunate enough to play against Master P and know him from my playing days back in the Gap. P is a good dude, and he's an authentic guy. I think that there's some stuff that he can do to help promote the program. I think there's some people that he can go out and recruit. New Orleans is or can be a hotbed for talent, right? Kelly Oubre is one of the guys that's from New Orleans that left because of Katrina and moved to finished up in Houston because of the whole Katrina fiasco back in almost 20 years ago. But the only concern that I have with him is that he has a lot going on. He got potato chips, he got
he's an entrepreneur,
cereal,
man. He's busy.
he got that, and again, like sometimes you can stretch yourself thin. And, basketball is a service, right? It's a service-based business. So you have to be actively involved to cultivate relationships, because it's like out of sight, out of mind. I haven't seen so-and-so. I don't know, and does he really know the landscape of what it takes to actually get something done? P has got to be in his 50s, mid-50s, somewhere in that range.
54. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So, with that being said, man, I think it's a little, I think that he can do it, but I think there has to be a focus that he maintains and, managing of his time and day. Because again, I know him to live in the Calabasas area in LA. Is he going to pick his whole family up and move to New Orleans? He has family members that are playing at universities right now. University of Houston being one of those, up the street from New Orleans, not too far of a drive at least. So
exactly,
it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I just hope that he can give it his all to make sure that the program is successful, or that they get the ship righted in a way. So that they're going to be using him for the financial aspects and trying to be able to garner money from different people and sponsorships and all the rest of that kind of NIL and all of this. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Fair point. And that's why I feel like even he's in his mid-50s, I'm assuming him taking this job, to your point, I don't think he took this job lightly, because his first passion, I think, was basketball. It seems like he's always been playing basketball from when he's young, and music. They both were two things that he loved equally, right? He even had an AAU team I saw that had people like DeMar DeRozan, Lance Stevenson, Brandon Jennings were on his AAU team back in the day. So he's someone that I think the way you have a reverence for basketball, I don't think he would take this job. Understanding he played in college, he's played in the NBA, he's been around these team training camps, whatnot. I feel like he probably understands that this is something that will take up his time. But I also think, as you know, Rand, you're only as strong as your team. So I think what will be critical in this new life for him would be for him to get the right people and the right scouts, the right coaches around him. Because that's going to make his job, to your point, either less stressful or more, right? And I'm hoping he gets folks that are as focused as he will be in this venture. I'm assuming he probably has certain things, to your point, kind of figured out. We all know, basketball, being in a smelly gym from like 9 to 9 p.m. isn't for the weak, right? You have to love that to want to coach it and run a full entire program and operation. That's coaching, facilities, like staff, everything. I think he wants to build something special. And hey, like you mentioned, I'm excited to see what he does. But that's why this is so interesting to see, because I'm wondering who else is up. Who's someone that's a millionaire that's going to say, you know what, I want to go back and just coach and just start a whole program.
He'll try to wear every hat. If you let him, he'll try to put on every hat possible. You know what I'm saying? He'll slide on every hat that he can. But at the very least, I think that if we just talking turkey, it just comes down to the fact that he can be a figurehead for the organization. If he's attached to that organization, they're going to get eyes, and he can have the same sort of effect. P is older now, but he can have the same sort of gravitational pull, maybe not to the same degree, but he can have the same sort of gravitational pull as like a Coach Prime. But we also got to remember that he is in a position, he's the ops guy, and that ops guy is limited as to what it is he can and cannot do in that program. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for that group going forward.
I love it. Well, thank you, Master P. Sorry, I should call him by his legal name, because now he's Coach Miller.
Coach Miller. Coach Percy Miller is crazy.
Coach Percy Miller, man. Listen, hey, transformation, I love it. Speaking of transformation, let's get to the last segment. That's absurd. So everyone knows the infamous LeBron James, and everyone knows the other infamous, I call you the Black Pat Riley himself, So Pat Riley, apparently, Dwayne Wade shared a story while he was doing an interview. This is shared at Underground Lounge, okay? And thank you, He Cultured 13, for sharing this. So Dwayne Wade said that LeBron James was pissed when Pat Riley took his cookies and felt that was a sign LeBron might leave due to Riley's micromanagement. Fool. That's absurd. First of all, Rad, what's your thoughts on Pat Riley taking a player's cookies, let alone LeBron James's cookies? You got it.
I told you from time, you know how y'all say up there in Canada, I told you from time that the person that's leading that organization, the person that's driving that organization is Pat Riley. Pat Riley runs that organization with an iron fist, and that can be to all of the things that have happened, him playing in 25% of the championships that have gone on, to the detriment of the team and losing players, right? I wasn't overly surprised because Pat Riley is notorious for being a person that's a stickler for like weight and body fat and all the rest of that kind of stuff. But I think there's you can also cross the line too. Taking cookies off of an airplane is petty, right? It's more petty than anything else. LeBron ain't getting fat because he's eating, and those cookies are not causing you to win or lose a basketball game. Anyway, said a few things that were key. When you're trying to get through a season, whether it's 82 games or 40 games, 32 games, NBA, international, college, high school, and you're moving around the country or moving around the world, you need comforts and vices that'll get you through. Everybody has comfort foods or some sort of comforting thing that they need to do, or a vice that they need to apply to their life to get them through. A lot of the guys that I know that played, and I wasn't one of them, but a lot of the guys that I know, they smoke weed. Hell, like they was always putting it up. And, again, I don't understand it because all I could ever did for me was make my clothes stink. I didn't understand the thought process behind all of that. No, thank you. But they needed that. And those guys were much better players than I was. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't doing nothing. So again, I think that there's a place for allowing players to have their vices, and taking something away from your best player, again, could be to the detriment of your organization. LeBron left. LeBron could have finished his career there. But the way that Pat Riley goes about running that organization from top to bottom is a clear indicator that, again, he's stuck in his ways. You also have to look at Pat Riley and where he came from. Pat Riley went to Kentucky and played for Adolph Rupp. And if you go back and you do any history on Adolph Rupp, we're talking about lineage or a tree, right, that goes back to almost the beginning of basketball itself, right? You know what I mean? And this is why basketball for me is such a sacred place, because there are people in the space that I'm tied to, family members that I'm tied to, that are attached to that tree. So there's a pride that we take in that. Pat Riley has used his attachment to that tree in this situation to take cookies away from somebody who ended up leaving and going someplace else. So again, I think that there's it was Pat Riley wrong in that situation? Absolutely. I think he's been wrong in a lot of situations, but I also know this: the discipline that he attaches to the organization has gotten them to a couple different finals appearances and some finals wins that maybe they wouldn't have gotten had he not been there. Miami was an expansion team. I think people forget that. That was an expansion team, and they've won a couple different championships now. I think they have 3 or 4, something. But whatever that is, Pat Riley, was he wrong? Absolutely. And is it absurd? Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? And did LeBron have the right to tell that airplane to land so he can go to the local Mrs. Fields to get him some chocolate chip cookies? Absolutely.
Chocolate chip.
But in turn, he decided to leave. Absurd. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, you definitely said it. And yes, Miami has won 3. They won the one with Dwayne Wade and Shaq, and then they won back-to-back with Dwayne Wade and LeBron and Bosh. I mean, Pat Riley, it's so absurd, but I'm not even surprised. When I saw it, I chuckled, but I'm like, it's Pat Riley. He's called players on his team overweight or fat, or he says he's like an old grumpy uncle that just has no filter. And he just speaks his mind. I also think it's refreshing because at least you know what he's thinking. But as a player, you're probably bro, that's a lot to tell the media. I feel like him being like that is good behind closed doors because at least you know where he's at. But I think for this new age of NBA players coming up, this whole new culture coming up, I don't think a lot of players are going to be okay with that type of energy coming forward. So the players they're going to get are guys who probably are like underdogs, have things to prove. You know, like he has the type of player that he likes, that he wants to get in his team. But like the Luka, the guys who are not divas, but the guys who are very talented and don't want someone on them like that. Like imagine Luka and with Pat Riley. Oh my God, that would be. I mean, Luka probably needs a Pat Riley's life right now, but I'm just saying that would be crazy. What he does has helped him win, but I think he understands it. There's an exchange here, right? I'm going to piss some players off and they're going to want to go. But I'm going to piss some players off in the right way if they're going to want to stay and they're going to want to win with me. So I think at the end of the day, everyone going to that team understands the assignment. And if you don't want to be here, don't come. And I think Bam, he's been there for a very long time. And I've not heard Bam complain once. So I just think sometimes if you're doing the thing right, like you say, if you're doing the thing right, I don't think Pat has any problem with you. But if you're trying to corner, you're trying to be a guy, you're trying to be beyond what the team is asking of you, then he's probably going to be on your aid, right?
Right.
Hey, Lebron, I hope you got your cookies and more in LA. But that I thought that was so funny. Pat Riley micromanages, but I think some teams need a little bit of micromanagement, a la the Pelicans, right? Some teams need a little bit of that in them to formulate some discipline, like you said. Some teams have zero discipline, which is why they're always in a hot mess, right? So that's why I feel like it has to be a give and take when it comes to micromanagement and not managing your players at all as an ownership group. Like I heard something about Embiid going to the owner to say, hey, shut me down for the year. And just didn't even talk to the GM.
I hope he didn't do that. I hope he didn't do that.
That's what my brother told me the other day. Yeah, here it is. So Joel Embiid went directly to the owner about the state of his knee, Josh Harris.
Right. But yeah, well, I think it's okay to have some control, to your point. But I also think that, come on, man, let's not be. This was just petty. This is, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that when LeBron sat back in his chair, he said to himself, "Well, this is absurd." You know what I'm saying? I'm sure that was what was rolling through his mind.
If that was you, what would you do if that was you?
I mean, I don't know that there's a whole lot you can do, but I know that if I was in a situation where I was, you know, the face of the league and somebody took the cookies off the planet, I probably would have left him with LA too. You know what I'm saying? LeBron is living a great life in LA. Miami, I think, was something that he needed to figure out how to win and the discipline that went along with that. And Miami could have went on the run. Pat Riley is a different animal. That's a different beat. You know what I mean?
Oh man, no, he really is. I ain't gonna lie, he really is. He really is. Nah, but that's absurd. And I know LeBron got all the cookies he wants nowadays. So big up to you. So y'all, that's the episode, y'all. As you know, we go into our shout out. So Ren, who you got shout out this week? Who you got?
I want to shout out the Run Sports for being a beacon of basketball know-how and the when, the where, and the storylines that we create. I'm super proud of us. That's the first thing. Second, I want to shout out for coming on board with us, working with us on the recruiting angles, making sure that we get the right players on the site, making sure that we promote the right players via social media and their performances and things of that nature. I also want to shout out the Run Daily that we do on a morning basis, hosted by yours truly.
Star.
And twinkle, 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 twinkle. You know what I mean? Man, I think that's it. I want to make sure that, but again, follow me on Local Ran, most platforms, follow the Run Sports, follow Alfred's House as well.
Thank you. That's great shout outs, man. Big up the Run, all the doing great things. I actually want to shout out a couple of things. I want to shout out, first of all, Brie Clark. She's a Clemson gymnast. And she made history this past week by landing the Biles 1, which is executing an actual very high-level skill that has not been done ever in the world. Only Simone Biles, the GOAT, has done it. So big up to Brie Clark for making another Black history by the second gymnast who's Black to land on the Biles 1. I also want to shout out Steph Curry, actually. Dropping 56 points, I think, 12 threes. Incredible, right? He's also someone that if I'm a Saudi Arabia league, I'm going to try to poach him, but incredible player. Just, it's cool seeing someone like that, Rand, who's kind of done it all. Nothing to prove, but who goes out there and leaves like blood, sweat, and tears on the court every night. And we see these little boys coming into the NBA, lackadaisy and stuff on the court, right? So I just hope LeBron, Steph, we're appreciating them today. And I feel like they're giving us a lot of great things to be proud of as fans or as folks who follow basketball. So if you want to give some thoughts to shout out Steph Curry on his epic night this past week. That's it, y'all. So first of all, guys, thanks again for joining us. Good Rookies Show, Good Rookies podcast. We're on all platforms, and I mean Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio. We're on YouTube, y'all. Check us out. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace.